questions.
People don't know this, but after I grew up in New Jersey, like they talk about light and space on you. I graduated from Citadel in 1989, so I graduated in the last century. So you guys know that from college. So you guys did too. But what was
Well,
funny is like
after that.
my father worked for DuPont for Teflon. That division. He worked for thinner and all this stuff where we were in New Jersey. And when they finally got tired of burying all this shit in the ground and dumping it in rivers, they were like, "Yeah, we got to close this plant." And my father got transferred out to, of all places, from New Jersey to Iowa. And I remember we were like,
It's like
Iowa.
New Jersey.
What is Iowa? It's like, what is that in Canada? Where's Iowa? You know what I mean? Like we didn't know. And it was so wide out space wise, everything like that. But like going to Iowa, what I didn't realize is like that state at the time when we moved there in the early 90s was like renowned for its education. Like one of the best public education states in the nation. And it was like, wow, you noted different. You know what I mean? I got out there. But as of late, I'm not exactly sure if they're tracking.
Right.
Especially from the biggest city in the state, Des Moines.
Des Moines of the Moines.
Yeah, of the monks. We said of the monks.
Of the Moines.
Yeah, of the rendering plants is what it
means.
Right. But Scooter sent us something that's pretty funny about, proper vetting, which we talked about that with the peacekeepers.
Well, we got to wonder after this article. You got to wonder if they were the best in education, how they put their numbers together. I'm just questioning.
I'm just glad Sean wasn't a product of this controversy.
Right.
It's been a whole different life course.
They used Indeed improperly, I think, is what they did. But anyway, Scott, why don't you go and enlighten people so we can just kind of go and tear at
this. Lovely Des Moines, Iowa. So people probably heard of this. This has been kind of going on now for a couple of weeks, but there's been some updates to this story. And for those who haven't heard about it, this was the Des Moines, Iowa school superintendent, the Des Moines Public Schools, Ian Roberts, as a superintendent. And turns out that he's actually an illegal immigrant. And not only was he grabbed up by ICE, but they've also come to find that he also has a list of prior criminal charges, including drug possession with intent to sell back in 1996 and a couple different weapons charges from 2020 and 2022.
But the one in 22, just for our listeners, he pled guilty. So before anybody starts going, well, he pled guilty. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess, and this is just kind of the follow-up article, but going back to the original, I believe it was that he overstayed, a work visa, but then managed to get arrested repeatedly and rack up some weapons charges. Now, one of them was it was something like not securing a hunting rifle properly in a car or something. So I'll give you that one. But again, this guy basically fleeced the school district. And I believe, Sean, you said that he had some type of manufactured degree.
Yeah, his PhD supposedly was not legit. Didn't exist. He manufactured it.
Yeah, they made it up.
So then they go to
do.
Right. I mean, that's almost kind of what I had going on.
He's got his doctorate from Phoenix University online.
It was like I'm one notch above that.
Yeah, it's like patio furniture that bail bond's been pretending like he's a cop. I mean, I was a doctorate. Like I actually got my PhD and did the heavy lifting to get that done. It's a lengthy process. I'd be so mad that they put this person in charge and they're like, your PhD was fake.
Right?
Is there no real way to go and confirm that? Like, you got to publish papers and stuff like that. Like, it's like, and this is pre-AI too. It's like, it's really disturbing that educators don't even know who they're putting in charge, doesn't have the highest, that's like getting the Pope hat. You know what I mean? When you're in education, like getting a PhD.
Right. Well, I love the words that they start using. Like his attorney comes out and is like, these were charges, not convictions. Well, he pled guilty to one. What kind of lawyer are you?
If we base everything on convictions, you know what I mean? Are you kidding me?
That's like on the street. Remember, you always have somebody. You've been arrested before? No. You run them. You've been arrested 3 times. Oh, that time. Yeah. That's yeah.
Or, you arrest them and you ever been charged? And they're like, no. And how many times have you been arrested? 40, 40 and 0.
By the way,
that's a
my
common
goal, my lead is 113 arrests, 33 convictions.
Oh man,
that's my
a stat right
my
there.
career.
And here, this guy's making $300,000 as a superintendent, not properly vetted. Says he has a degree, or I guess he over. So the visa overstay was from when he went to St. John University in 1999. Then picked up a couple of cases and had this final order of removal for deportation from last May, from Guyana or something, where this guy's from.
Yeah, he's a Guyana native.
And so when he gets arrested, so he takes off, right, in his like school district car, his 98 Lumina, his 98 Chevy Lumina.
With the student driver car, it's for the driver's ed.
Please be patient.
Right. With the brake on the right side of the car.
Right. Yeah. So in this targeted enforcement operation, they go to grab him, and while he takes off and they catch him, and he's got a gun, a hunting knife, and $3,000 in cash.
A big old
wow,
knot.
that doesn't sound like you're ready to run.
Yeah, a big knot. I just cleared out the vending machine in the cafeteria.
Right.
Oh my God.
I was about to deposit this.
Right. And now the school districts, they're like, oh, we were fleeced. They're trying to cover their ass, and they're saying they're going to sue the company that did the background. It's like, come on, man. How just for example, right?
Right.
In the private sector, like my brother just got a new job and, went through like 8 interviews, or something for this job. This, another person I know is looking for a corporate job, and it's like 4 or 5, 6 interviews. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that's going on out there. Not that the public sector is always as good at that, but just think about like anything, law enforcement or teaching, where you're in these kind of high profile positions. People are going to look back at and see like, who are you? Where did you come from? Where did you work?
Right.
You have these degrees. We're going to verify that kind of stuff. Like how does that even happen?
Well, but that now they're saying that they're suing the consulting firm. Well, okay, let's go back to how he even got his educational license with not being properly in the country and having all these arrests and stuff. I mean, like, okay, Larry, let's set off the smoke bomb and go, okay, we're going to go after the consulting, but let's go back to the state of Iowa, who gave this guy an educational certificate. Their investigators are supposed to be doing the background, and then he's carrying his stuff in a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I'm like, what the hell?
I envision he's like trying to take off like Mr. Rooney from Ferris Bueller. He's in like, he just, the dog chewed up the end of his suit pants, and he's driving the Dodge Aries K. But
oh my God.
Yeah, so that blows my mind, and like you said, now it's become this thing where everybody's pointing fingers and saying, oh, who are we going to sue, and how do we not know about this vetting? But I mean,
right.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, you could see this like happening maybe with like he works in the cafeteria, or he's cleaning up kids' puke, something like that. Where like maybe
right.
I'm not saying
that he's
those
a sex
folks,
offender.
right, yeah, like
damn it.
But he's the superintendent, and I think like I don't know. One of you guys said on a previous show you were joking about like it seems like the left falls for these guys with these crazy framed glasses. The crazier the frame,
the
more credentialed you are to be like cool. Like you're wearing glasses, but the frames have to be like Harry Carey looking, or it's just like that woman that looked like the Joker from that police department interview. That
like those military issue glasses,
right,
big,
right,
heavy frame, like bulletproof looking glasses.
BCG, we used to call them BCGs,
like Joker.
Yeah, they called them BCGs back in the day.
Jacket.
Birth control glasses. That they were,
right.
You wore them. There was no woman would be interested in you.
Right.
And you think to yourself, like, I mean, the guy looks professional. I mean, whatever. But you look at the frames and go, I mean, it's the frames. It's the frames.
Yep.
The frames get you through, man. I'm going to start wearing them to like anywhere. Like
You almost are. You just got to get those right.
Right. These, dude. You know what these glasses cost me that I'm wearing? They're like $2. I got them at Walmart, and there was 2 pair of them, so it was like 2 for 1, and they were 1.5. Like
just off the rack.
Right,
just
right.
off the rack.
I'm turning to my dad when I go to the dollar store and get a 5-pack and just start throwing them in every room.
And Maddie, my middle son, the guy likes to tinker around. He repaired these things with a paper clip. He's like, how committed I am to wearing glasses right now. I hate
Maddie's going to have his own show at this
those
old
ones
house.
that break in the middle that you can hang down, and then they click back together.
Oh, yeah, the magnet ones? Yeah, like the doctors wear? Yeah.
Right. Like I'm a college football coach reading off plays. You know, I'm just like looking down.
Right.
We're in the show. Like,
or just a monocle.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Sir Topham hat.
Yeah, right, like the Monopoly guy.
But I mean, like, listen, I would rather them say, and in all seriousness, we've been policemen a long time. We've seen it all. I would rather somebody come out and say, hey, listen, this guy has done all of this. His last charge was 20 years ago. He turned his life around, and we're going to give him a chance. We're going to give him a 30-day review, a 60-day review. Every 30 days, he's going to be reviewed. He's got to, hit these marks. He's got, like, I'd rather them come out and say this than just blatant lie about it, because weapons charges, and he doesn't even have a freaking degree. Like, come out and say, hey, listen, this guy, he's fully vetted. He's got, his doctorate, but he does have a sordid past. These are his charges, but we're going to give him a shot. We think that he has what it takes to, like, whatever, but just not. And then, then you end up on, America's Greatest Police Chases in a Jeep Cherokee that says Des Moines Educational System on it or something. Like,
I actually applied for the job already. I want to see
it's open.
How many interviews they give me.
I'm sure your bachelor's from Macomb, Illinois would put you right out there. Right.
No, but they look at all of these people like everybody's like just stealing bread to survive, and criminals need like look, if you're not going to follow the law, the basic law to be in the country, we've talked about this all along. The rest of what you do, you're going to be like, well, I didn't give a fuck about that. Why would I think they'd give a crap about me having a loaded hunting rifle in my car? Why would they give a crap about me, pleading guilty to a gun charge? Some other, like, everybody's a guy that's just trying to make it on his own. Like, Chris, to your point about everybody's a sinner, and everybody everybody has an opportunity to be a saint, but like you're in charge of 30,000 students in an urban area in a state that has a really good reputation for academics, and it's like, this is getting old. It's getting so old that we have to give everybody a pass for what they've done. It's like, are there not more qualified people where
sure.
guy said he didn't want to distract the 30,000 students from learning
with 4 gun charges?
Yeah, but that's why he resigned from his position. It's just like, did you think
resigned.
about that when you took the position? You were lying about your
he resigned because they yanked his license.
Yeah, well, and the other thing is like, do you think you would thought about that when you took the job, knowing you didn't have a legitimate PhD and you knew you weren't in the country legally? Right. I mean, how arrogant do you have to be? I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. This has nothing to do with all of these peripheral things that people in the media and leftists want to make this. It's like, you really cared about those kids. You should have got that shit straight before you got the job. You stood there and you were lying. Like, education isn't just about whether you can pass a test that the federal government puts out. It's about, it used to be about integrity, honor, education. And we're not getting any of that stuff out of the public education process. When you go into a school and you see more pride flags than American flags, you see every classroom. We did training in one time, guys. I don't know if I told you this. We were in there training because you're doing active shooter training for schools, and a school gives every single school had every single classroom had a sign in it that said, "This is a safe space for you." Yeah. I was thinking to myself, are people hunting these people or something that they need this much safe space? Like, because you're confused about your sexuality, I get it. Go talk to people, get whatever. But like, you're not being hunted down for this. And I thought to myself, and one other classroom had a picture of Mao Zedong in it. If you know who he is, like, he's the guy that led the killing of more Chinese than maybe anybody else in the history of Chinese. And the teacher that had in the classroom had in there that said, "Let's party like the Communist Party." And I was sitting there losing my mind. And all
what, at Chili's?
Yeah, but it's just like, party? What are we party? The partying over the communism that doesn't work? And you got the Chicago Teachers Union, a cop killer that escaped from prison, was honored by the Chicago Teachers Union this past week when
Yes.
she passed away.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
I'm not going to say her name because it's so disgusting. But
Right.
the bottom line is like, this is who is educating your kids. We shouldn't be surprised that this is happening with this guy. You look for integrity out of people, you're not going to get it. And the education system right now is a mess. It's a mess.
Yeah.
Well, you got kids in Chicago that can't even read that they're passing them out of high school.
Yep.
Because everything has an excuse. Well, they don't have a dad, or they don't have a mom and dad, or they don't have the same, they don't have the same breaks you have to study. And what, they can't go to the library? Since when? It's all these excuses instead of holding people accountable and having consequences for not doing your stuff, and then saying, like, when we got in trouble at school, we were kids, you were like, you better, you're going to go home and get it again twice. You know what I'm saying? Because we had consequences, but now they allow this to spiral, and you got kids that can't read.
Yeah.
You know what?
Like,
Just go ahead, Scott. I'm sorry.
Like to Sean's point, the integrity thing, I think that's one of the things that makes you the most aggravated. Like, yes, this guy did some criminal stuff and whatever, but it's that part. It's that piece of it. Like, in law enforcement, you're always expected to be of the highest integrity. Do people do dumb things sometimes? Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
People are
Absolutely.
human, right? But for someone to go into that role where he's just, again, like you said, he's not just some guy that, he's a custodian at the school. Nothing against custodians, but I'm just saying, like, you are in a very high profile position, should be ultra vetted for the ultimate, the top rated person to come over and take over that school. And for this guy to be a guy that is such a phony,
All right.
I mean? Like, people should be really mad about that.
Yeah.
And what does that, and don't tell me what a great guy he is, and what he did and what we were really hoping for. The guy's a scumbag. Okay.
Yep.
Like, you're a liar. You're a phony. And kids, all those kids that you're talking about, like we said, that are looking up to you, you are supposed to be someone of highest moral character, and you're a complete phony criminal. And you don't even, like, even in the moment of like this ICE thing happening, right? I don't know how this went down, where they came and grabbed him. Did they come to interview him? I don't know. But even in that moment, whether you were in the school, whether you were at home, probably the way to have handled that would have been to just say, okay, I think there's some kind of mistake here, but I'm going to go along with what's going on. I'll get an attorney. I can make an official statement. I'll allow the school. Think about the school district that you work for, that you're making almost $300,000 a year for. No, you take off in your
Jeep.
school district car.
Yep.
With a gun, with a bunch of money. Like, what in the actual fuck? Like, you've made these people, you're an asshole. You made these people look like an asshole, and you've completely let down this school district and these kids. And that's the kind of shit that happens where kids looked at you and go, oh my God, this guy is a great guy. I respect him. Look at him. He, worked his way up and did this and this. And you're a complete phony.
Right.
Criminal.
You're a complete fraud. Yep.
It's bullshit.
You know what they got to bring back for schools? It's like when I was in middle school, they'd let us go out and smoke in middle school.
Yeah.
Awesome. Smoke breaks.
They still had that at my high school when I was.
You go out and smoke, and look where we're at now.
That's right.
Yeah, big tobacco. Bring back big tobacco.
Yeah,
we're going to be totally phony about this. We should just bring back big tobacco. Kids, less violence. Teachers were more serious about what's going on. It's just like, it's. I'm joking, obviously. I don't want kids to smoke, but look, we've taken all that stuff out of the equation, and this is who we get at the top. I mean, it's actually like quite painful to like. It's like it hurts so many people in the process. Now, anybody that gets a job that maybe comes from an immigrant status, or anybody that comes from a job that maybe is a minority in some sense, that hurts anybody that's going for one of those jobs moving forward. The arrogance on that guy's on that level, and for a while there, of course, the media was trying to make him a victim of something. When he saw what was going on in Washington D.C., why didn't he go, "Hey, I tell you what, here's what I'm going to do." We can just say, I've got another opportunity. I'm moving on to something else. I'm looking to retire. I got somebody that's sick back in Guyana, like my grandma. I got to go take care of. Whatever, make up some bullshit, because that's what you've been doing all along.
Right, you're
anyway.
good at it.
Yeah, right. Like just going. That's how I can say it. Nope. He waited until they showed up on his doorstep, and he had to do a freaking drive off. He had to do a pursuit.
He doesn't even have the defense that, like, hey, that was 20 years ago. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's nothing, because he had 4 guns. He has 4 gun charges. One was in the car. Like, there's nothing he can say to say, hey, listen, mea culpa. I'm sorry. That was 20 years ago.
I learned my
Whatever.
lesson.
I learned my lesson.
Right.
Yeah, I said some stuff.
Right.
He's got nothing to go on now. He's got nothing.
Right.
He's got zero integrity.
Right.
And you see it, and now look at what's going on. It rolls into integrity. Look what's going on in Chicago with this whole thing with these ICE agents and all this other stuff. You got brothers in blue in trouble, and you're not going because of some ridiculous statement from your governor and the chief of the watch or the chief of patrol. Like, what are you guys doing? Where is that?
Well, what Chris is obviously referring to is recently this weekend there was an incident involving, something that became, again, violent, like we had heard before with ICE agents, where, they were being tailed for quite some time as agents doing their jobs, and a known activist supposedly was involved in ramming one of the ICE vehicles.
Right.
When they called for
guy
help,
and a
the
girl.
officers, when they called for help, from the locals, CPD, Chicago Police Department, officers were told, and there's radio dispatch out there, you can hear it on social media, about them being told to stand down. Even so much so that the dispatcher was like, what? Kind of like, there was like, okay, what do you mean we're not going to help these people?
Yeah.
They're asking for help. We don't even know what's going on. We're not going to go. We're not going to get involved in the investigation. But if people are calling for help, we're now going to stop helping people. If that's the case, we've completely lost our mantra as police officers.
And you got these guys that could you imagine being on the street in a radio call, hearing that, and then your boss coming out and tell you not to go? Like, the men and women on the street that night had to be burning inside, because now they're stuck between what they took an oath for to do and keeping their job. Right. And that is a horrible position that leadership should be putting them in. That leadership has horrible integrity, and they're putting our brothers and sisters in harm's way mentally, because now they have to live with that struggle in their head. And that's not fair.
Well, and in Illinois, police here are working under what they call the Trust Act here, and that Trust Act has some very specific guidelines about what you can and can't do to assist ICE agents. And you can't, primarily, you obviously cannot be assisting them in anything immigration enforcement related. But just the things that I hear, from different chiefs and whatnot, unfortunately, there's a lot of it that is being, discussed back and forth, and it's being discussed on the fly because you're having so many of these kinds of situations, and people are, they're trying to get legal opinions on this about what can we do to help. Because like you said, if you're a police officer, you're a police officer. You see somebody getting hit, beat, kicked, punched, whatever, you're going to help them, and I think that some of what is happening with this, and like to your point, and this in particular, the CPD incident, is that maybe they're so worried about going to assist ICE that somebody, your officers are going to get decertified or criminally charged or this or that, when an ICE guy getting nearly run over with a car is no different than a citizen that is nearly getting run over with a car that you would intervene to help them.
But the Trust Act, Scott, that Trust Act is assisting in is detaining and looking for and whatever for
investigating, providing
for illegal
data
immigrants,
and intel and things like that. Right.
This is an officer that needs help.
Yeah, right.
So now that just goes down to blatant, felonious battery. I'm sorry, and for them not to help other policemen, and then then they get up there and you fight. What are you doing? And then these guys, our brothers and sisters in blue on the street have to torment themselves with this, or what they're supposed to do and what they can't do. And they took an oath to help. They want to help. They hear a brother or sister getting beat up or whatever, somebody getting run over by a car, and you got these people because of what they want to. They just don't like Donald Trump. Well, listen, I got news for you. You broke the law. You're in the country illegally. Sorry, don't know what to tell you. I can't help you. But you're here illegally. This is ICE's job, and as politicians, you need to let them do that. Whatever you don't like, except the fact that you're not going to get the vote, they broke the law,
Right. And it's
and it's
getting
in every
worse
oath.
every day. I mean, the stuff going on here in Broadview, Illinois, at the ICE facility here, it is getting worse every
Oh yeah,
single day. I
yeah,
mean,
and
there's
they won't even let them come and use the bathrooms. They want. It's stupid. It's stupid.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, it's a fresh story right now, and there's always millions of stories inside of the story that we'll never know about. You know, Carrie used to be a Chicago cop, and I asked her, I said, well, what do you think a lot of people would have done when you were on the job? She said, people would have went, and they would have dealt with the consequences of it. Now we got body cameras now and everything else, and trackers on radios. They can tell who's there and who's not, and you got people screaming and yelling about, did we go and help? Did the police go and help? We don't know the full story yet, but more is going to come out. But what is out there right now is, and there's radio traffic supposedly saying that they were told to stand down and not go and assist. Now, we know there's all sorts of sides to this, but we also know that some cops will take advantage of that now. There's okay, I'm not going to go over there at all. I'm not going to help
Yeah.
do anything when anybody's in trouble. And that can morph itself into other things. And Chicago itself as a city has so many problems with crime. It's just like, well, I'm going to start setting limits myself as an officer. I'm not going to go in there. I'm going to get killed. I'm not going to go help anybody. That's crazy. I got an
Right.
ungrateful group of people. And it's like, this could go so many ways wrong. And again, it starts with rhetoric from the people on the top. When you engage in lawlessness, as an elected official, you're like, we're not going to help, which is one thing. Now we're going to stand athwart it, and we're going to inspire people to act violently in the process.
Right.
You've uncorked the genie, and it's
Yep.
out, and you can't get it back in, and it's going to be really, really bad. And what is Trump saying? We're bringing in the National Guard. We're going to activate them. You know how I feel about that. To me, that is like that is going to even make it worse for cops, because anytime something happens in the future, people are going to say, bring in the National Guard, because people are going to clamor for it, because no doubt the National Guard is going to help and it's going to bring it down. And we're never going to recover from that as a profession. You're never going to have, like, we're going to be like, look, no offense to anybody that does security work, but when a security guard shows up and tells you to do something,
Easy.
or I got you, Chris, or patio furniture shows up as a bondsman, you don't got a gun. I don't have to listen to you. That's the oldest joke in the book. You know what I mean? Like Barney Fife
Right.
with one bullet in your gun. Nobody's going to listen to you. And that's going to be a problem for cops long term. But it's not because the cops weren't willing to do it. It's because our elected officials completely castrated the profession. And now they're trying to figure out ways how to make this all work and get it back under control with a 5% approval rating.
Right.
Well,
And-
go ahead, Scott.
And what's outrageous too, to your point, is that so here you have these laws in Illinois, and we're so concerned about making sure we have it on the books. And how dare you, work to assist a federal ICE agent with anything related to immigration, and we'll do this to you and do that to you. Yet, you've got mayors here of other suburban departments who are down there, throwing down with the ICE agents and wearing masks and getting in the middle of shit. And it's like, wait a second, you are here writing laws now, not them, specifically, but when you're just saying generally, like for the state, well, they are definitely people who support those laws. So what you're doing is you're enacting laws or participating in enacting laws that prevent local police officers from doing their job and helping federal law enforcement and helping these ICE officers. And then you're going to pile it on by going down there, and then you're going to go down there and break laws. So you want to punish Officer A over here who works for this police department in the suburbs or Chicago or wherever. Don't you dare go down there and help those ICE agents. You're not going to help them. We'll decertify you. We'll make sure you aren't the police ever again. But I'm the mayor of whatever left-wing suburb this is, and I can go down there and I can confront ICE agents.
Right.
I can get in the middle of federal investigations. I can do that, and I can break the law, and I can do all this ignorant shit. But you, police officer, no, you stay away from that. You don't have any business there doing anything. It's so outrageous.
Right. Well, one of the things that I'm hoping, like, if the last I heard, I was doing some research right before we came on, is that Trump basically told Pritzker, if you don't send in the National Guard, I will, because and Pritzker's allegedly thinking about it or started the process or whatever. And I know Sean doesn't agree with it, and again, I'm in agreement with the fact that when I'm in favor of them being there to help, but ultimately I agree with Sean that this just shows the demise of the power of the policeman and the police world that's supposed to be there to help. But the only thing I could hope for is that when people start going to the polls, or people start thinking about it, or people start, you have the younger generation now through the Charlie Kirks and the younger kids coming out and speaking in politics. The only thing I hope is that they start getting in the ear of, remember when this went bad, it was the Republican leadership that sent out this to thwart this evil, and you have to vote that way. Hopefully, then they will instill the laws, the rules, regulations, people, leaders, and everything, so we don't have to call the National Guard out again, but you have a lawful society. That's the only solution I have, instead of just calling out the National Guard every time you need help.
And again, we're getting inundated with this in the media and social media because people are, very willing to click on it and look at these stories. So it's creating algorithms, and off of algorithms, news outlets go, well, this is what people want to pay attention to. So let's give you, like, it's the Weather Channel thing. Like, this is a terrible storm. And then the other guy's standing there with the raincoat on and they got a fan blowing on him and make it look worse. And then some dude comes by in a bathing suit and a surfboard. And you're like, oh, you're all full of shit. And maybe that's what's going on here. Maybe these people, like they did with a lot of the Floyd riot stuff, they bust them in from other locations.
Oh.
They're not actual Chicagoans, because there are quite a few Chicagoans that there's video of saying, welcome them. We want them.
Yeah.
We want this for that. So again, you've got a dying party right now. They are really, really suffering and struggling. They're monopolizing political violence because they're desperate. I don't care what anybody says. I want the Democrat Party to be strong. I do. I do, because it creates for a healthy political environment, because you have choices as a voter, and everybody's got to try to stay honest when they're in power. Well, that doesn't happen when you only get one party. 20, 25 years from now, if it keeps going on this road, we could be bitching about Republicans letting all this power go to their head. And again, because we're all people, we're all sinners. Like I said, we all have an opportunity to fail and fall. We all have an opportunity to be a saint. But the bottom line is, this power is like intoxicating. And without a system that allows for this, and we cater to these small group of people that just want to get like chaos ruling the land, like, this could all be bullshit too. It could all be people coming in from other parts of the country, whatever. Like, one agitator does not make a city. There's 3 million people in that city. And the vast majority of them, prior to all this going down, were pretty upset with the fact is that, hey, I've been an African-American living in this city. I'm second, third, sixth generation Chicagoan. And you're giving more to people that just got here than I'm getting? Now, mind you, we shouldn't all be just constantly looking for handouts from our government. But in the same sense, you'd be pretty pissed off if my school still sucked. My housing market really still sucked. I couldn't get a decent job. I can't go to a grocery store in my own neighborhood. But man, they're putting those folks up in the Palmer House. And they're getting fucking phones and all this money. So where did all those people go? They're still there. We might be getting spoon-fed this crap just so everybody gets highly agitated. What's troubling for me is the fact of the matter is that as a police officer, I would have been told, if I was a Chicago cop, you're not going in there to help. And if that's true, that's bad news, folks. That is bad news. Really, really bad news. Put all this other shit aside. When you got cops not helping out other cops, and I'm not saying covering for them. I'm saying people are yelling for help, and we don't go to that. We can now start using our discretion to say, I'm not going to help out either. I'm not going to help out with this. I'm not going to help out with that. That's going to get me in trouble. This is going to get me in trouble. I'm not going. And that
look at Portland. Portland, first and foremost, I don't know how Antifa's like on the same riot for the 5th year. I don't even know how that's continued to go. But they're arresting people, conservatives that are doing the news, and they're arresting. They're not arresting people who are battering conservative people, because they have their leadership saying, we're not going to do this. We are not going to bow down. We're not even going to force the law because we hate conservatives so much. Like that's the path we're on. And it's very frightening. It's very frightening that then now you're going to have to call in a National Guard. And just by the way, folks, if anybody wants to take a look, I'd look up martial law at some point, because I mean that's going way beyond the spectrum.
And that's not Paw Patrol either. That's not Paw Patrol. So,
But to your point, the less, and when those people are not being arrested and we're not holding those people accountable, it just amplifies. That's what's happening there every day, because people aren't scared of getting arrested, getting charged criminally. And so you just go, all right, I did that ignorant shit yesterday. Today maybe I'm gonna start throwing some rocks or a couple bricks today. Like
Yeah.
nobody's doing shit. And when you're all over the news, your police, I mean, you're a failure as a leader when the news is saying, well, and Portland police, don't respond here for this, or it takes them 30 minutes to respond here. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
You're not there to assist ICE, but you are damn well there to make sure that people aren't beating the shit out of each other or destroying property and all this other shit. It all goes back to you want to protest, go ahead and protest. You have every right to do that. We've protected people on both sides of those protests at times.
Right.
But you cannot go there and just disrupt everything every day, break shit, set shit on fire, beat people up. Like that's not how it works. And the longer you let it go, your city is going to get more and more whipped into a frenzy, and it's going to get worse and worse. And then it's going to be too hard to get a handle on it because you've let it go for so long. It's ridiculous.
And here comes the National Guard. Exactly.
Right.
You're exactly right.
You don't want to militarize the
exactly
police,
right.
just use the military instead.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't militarize the police, just bring in the military to do it. And then everybody will start falling for it. You know what they're going to do, though? This is a great idea I think we should come up with. It's like American Idol. And the panel judges are like Pritzker, Newsom, and like AOC can rotate in every now and then, like Katy Perry did. And then you got Mandami from New York. And every politician on the left that's trying to make a name for himself, they have to come there and perform in front of these guys and show them what they'd be willing to do and how fucking stupid it is. Because that's all this is. All these people that are doing these things, like we talked about the mayor of Aurora, Illinois. That was him trying to say, I'm going to be the next player in the Democrat Party in this location because I'm doing something that is so obviously against the law and counterproductive for the people that I'm trying to serve. It's like literally, it's like Democrat Idol. Like you sit there and go, oh, we really like this guy. I'm voting for him because he's doing something so freaking stupid. And all it is about your mug time and social media. And you're going to be a guy that are people, oh, you're going to speak at the next DNC. You're going to be a speaker.
You're a disruptor.
You're a disruptor. You're taking it to it. You're breaking the law. You're interfering with the execution of the law. And one party's embracing that way more than another party is right now.
You're
and
absolutely right.
It's ridiculous. And you got the people at the top of that party that can't. I don't know how they're missing this. That is turning off so many people, a lot of their own constituents.
Because I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out how to get it back, and I think the more ridiculous they thought that it's like a smoke screen. I that's the only thing I can think of, because and you had this, well, the government's going to shut down, but because they want to ask for, they're asking for illegal health care, and they're like, no, they're not, no, we're not. Here's the P in the shelf, and it says right there. You're asking for it. I just think that it's gone so far. They're trying to get so ridiculous because they don't know how to go, okay, this is a freaking mess. We have to stop the show now and get back on track, because nobody has the stones to do that.
And now I'm envisioning Gavin Newsom singing Sweet Caroline on this show.
And by the way, I don't think we're gonna get a text this week, Scott, about the show title, because he has a Democratic X Factor or whatever. That's the name of the show this week. There, Sean.
I mean, it's just like
yourself.
Like
Pritzker's doing the truffle shuffle.
Right.
Tequila.
It's just, but it's sad, because it's like,
it is sad.
This isn't solving anything. It's not getting anything done. It's not helping anybody out. And again, the vast majority of Americans are in agreement with what's happening, and they don't want to admit it. And
but you're going to see that. You're going to see that at the polls. I mean, just before I got on here, the GOP was she took a surge in Virginia. And it's
that's because their attorney general mentioned shooting somebody in the head that was a political opponent that happened to be a Republican and got busted. So again, who's monopolizing violence? And it transcends. And they're like, this guy should step down. He's not going to step down. They're going to make him the next most popular guy. He's going to run for governor.
Democratic
next
street
time.
cred now.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's so pathetic about this. And again, I'm not trying to piss off anybody. That I probably am pissing somebody off. That's a Democrat listening right now.
You've never
how do you
pissed
not?
Anybody off.
I never piss anybody off. That's how come I'm married twice. But this is just, look, all of this said and done, who's going to suffer for this the most are the innocent people that are caught up in these neighborhoods, and the cops that got to go in there and sort that out. We're not done dying. We're not done getting killed.
No.
Cops, federal agents, this is not over, folks.
Nope.
And innocent people in those neighborhoods aren't done being murdered either. because
Nope.
they can't do what Chris said. They can't say, this is rock bottom. We got to stop. We cannot come back with a voice of reason. We're less than a month away from Charlie Kirk being murdered on television and, social media and everything else. And we're not any better off. Nobody's coming off the throttle. Nobody's taking it any easier. So folks, hey, be prepared.
Be prepared, because it's going to get worse, and you got to be able to decipher what's the truth and what's not. And you also have to do your own research. With that being said, from the Democratic X Factor, it's Scott, Chris, and Sean, today's judges. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate it. Please go to where you get your podcasts, leave a rating, download, subscribe, review it, and tell your friends. We're really trying to make the world a better place through some humor and through some facts, and through allowing people to voice their opinion and think about their own, do their own research, and make the world a better, more peaceful place. If you have a question, you can email us at 3copstalk@gmail.com. You have a question, suggestion for a show, want to be a guest, have a suggestion for a guest, comments, questions, please go there. You can also go to 3copstalk.com, get old episodes, and leave us an email there. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening, and have a blessed day.